How do you translate that? How do you coach your artists when
Come
you're
on,
trying to
dude.
get them to make that transition
Come on,
into the
dude.
booth?
Come on,
Man, listen, that's tough when you just really, the person has to be palpable, man. Like, the person has to want to, you know, first off, them
wait a
coming to
minute, bro, what word did you just use?
Palpable, right?
palpable, you know,
So,
like.
so I need you to explain that. So other people listening know what that means. Because that's important. That's a very important word.
Yeah.
Define it, bro. That's all I'm asking, bro.
Please break it down to us, child.
You gotta break it down, bro.
You know, they basically give you, they entrust that vocal to you. You know, they gotta be maybe another word,
pliable.
They wanna be pliable. They want to be pliable, you know, willing to let you guide, willing to let you kind of mold and shape, and you know, bend and twist and be flexible, you know, and open to your advice, your actual vocal production. Usually, if people are coming to you, I know when people come to me, they, you know, and I thank God for this. They respect my musical judgment, and that's instrumentally and vocally. And if I'm writing, they respect my pen work as well. So, you know, they're usually open to my suggestions. Like, hey, you know, on this part, pull back a little bit. You know, that's usually what you got to tell church musicians and church singers. You know, don't do too much here. You know, kind of pull back for the studio. So, you know, it's all about the person, man. Sometimes
I've ran into that.
Yeah.
And when you start to explain to them that there's a difference between the studio and the church, and the first thing that you hear is, well, you're not going to stifle my anointing.
Yeah,
well,
I knew it.
The thought process is we're trying to capture it in a manner where it's appropriate to play over the radio. We're not trying to stifle your anointing, but we understand what the industry is looking for when it comes to music. So if we want your anointing, that's what makes it different. That's what sets you apart. It makes you who you are. But at the same time, you got to understand the difference. If you listen to Tasha Cobbs in the studio and Tasha Cobbs live, it's two different sounds.
That's right.
It's two different sounds. Just like Dukes was saying, if you listen to the musicians, listen to Kirk Franklin's music and then in the studio, but then listen to it live. Of course, just like Duke says, you have that ability to be creative when it's live, but when you're in the studio, you're in the time frame. You got to understand the 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Clyde.
I just want to say this really too. That's where you got to pull on that team. Like, as a producer, all producers may not be vocally astute. You know what I'm saying? So have someone on your team that is a dope vocal producer. And then I believe too, when you're producing an artist, what you say is critical. Because singing is muscle memory and vocal ability as much as it is mental. And you can psych somebody out of a good vocal performance with your words, your body language. If they're constantly not giving you what you need, and you just you're sighing, and they can see that, they can hear that, then that's going to take them out of their zone. So what I think is good, if you're not able to tell them what you want from them, have somebody with you that can kind of vocally guide them and say, okay, I like that take you just did, but give me one more, and let's do it this way. And then when you're alone and you're kind of piecing things together, give them what you wanted them to do, give it to them and see how they like that. And a lot of times that can be more received versus a constant, you know, impatient kind of vibe. But you got to really be patient in this game, especially when you're working with a singer.
I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Dukes.
Well
I'm gonna tell you. I have been known to be different in the studio. I've been known to be a little different. And you know, my biggest thing is don't come into the studio unprepared. Don't come in
not knowing your lyrics.
Don't come in unprepared. Now you having patience is one thing. An artist wasting money is another. So if you come in, you don't know the song. I have a pet peeve with people that have to read lyrics off their phone. Because I feel like if you got to read it, you don't know it. And if you don't know it, you can saying, yeah, there go my wife saying, yeah. For those of you who don't know, I produce my wife. She goes by the name of B. But if I feel like if you got to read it, you don't know it. I'm not a big person to use auto-tune. I feel like if the chord says B flat, you need to sing B flat. And if you can't sing B flat, you need to practice it until you can. I'm not that big of a guy on trying to go back and fix stuff and copy and paste because I feel like that takes away from the performance. So
right. And then when you trying to, and then because another thing, and I just want to stay right there in that vein, D-Ray. If you're trying to sing on the phone, right, that means that you're not in the microphone because you got to hold the phone like this, you know, and then you're trying to sing sideways. We're trying to get there. Like you said, you don't want to do too much cutting and pasting. You want to get that in there. And now that's something with me. Deuce, please pray for me. Because with me, that's a pet peeve of mine. If you're coming into the studio, first of all, this is money. Money is time. So if you're coming in, true to the fact, we're gospel music producers, but there's still that business side of what you're saying.
Preach it.
You have to involve that business side. If you're coming in here, you're not prepared, you're singing from a phone, you don't know when to adequately hit what you're supposed to hit because you're holding the phone trying to go along with what you've written, you're wasting time. So sometimes Deuce that comes out. So pray for me, Deuce, because I'm like, because I'm one of them ones, I will cut your studio session and be like, when you learn this, come back. We'll be ready.
Me and Pastor Ricky must be related.
But I'm gonna do it. Yeah.